Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of Super Rugby Pacific. This one to determine second place for Super Rugby Pacific heading into the playoff games. Now the Chiefs, they've just secured number one, which does mean that one's no longer up for grabs. But that second spot is well and truly debated between these two sides. If the Brumbies were to win, yes, they are 2 points down currently. That would be enough to get them into that second. But this is going to be a tough game for both of these sides. The Brumbies had a bye last week. The week prior to that, they were able to beat the Reds at GIO Stadium. Whereas for the Crusaders, they had a tough game up against the Highlanders last week, managing to get the win, but only by narrow margins to be able to get the job done in that match. Looking through at the starting lineups for the Brumbies, it is James Slipper, Billy Pollard, and Fotuaika in that number 3 jersey. Nick Frost alongside Tom Hooper in the locking duo with Rob Ballatini, Rory Scott, and also Tualima as the number 8. Looking through at the back line, Ryan Lonergan alongside Noel Alessio, Feliuai in the midfield alongside Len Ikatau, then Toole, Muirhead, and Wright make up the back 3. Looking through at the Crusaders side, they have made quite a few changes compared to what we saw in the last match. Up against the Highlanders, it will be Bauer, Taylor, and Tamaiti Williams as the front row, Scott Barrett and Shelfoon in the locks, then Ethan Blackadder back for the first time in quite some time. We'll be looking to make a real impact throughout this fixture. Tom Christie at 7 and Christian Leo Willie slotting in as the number 8. So two men who did have their spot in last week's performance. Noah Hotham alongside Reihana in the 19 combo. Dallas McLeod alongside Levi Amua. So no David Havili in the middle there. Sevu Reece, Che Fiaki and Johnny McNichol. Now Reece last week managed to become the highest scoring in terms of tries for Super Rugby. Wouldn't mind adding 1 or 2 more into this contest as well. We have got their Crusaders by 85, says Tom. And isn't it crazy to think that even if they were to win by 85, if the Chiefs hadn't got that bonus point, they still would be behind them in terms of that points differential. It would have taken absolutely miraculous one had it not been for the Chiefs getting that last minute try for the hat trick of Tupavai. Go the Brumbies, says Rave. And Brumbies backline is dangerous, but their tight 5 has got a big job to do, says Studs Rays. Hello, everyone tuning in to Fabulous Hamish. Says Roof, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Red and Black, says Beach. And also up the Chiefs 2025, says Tom. Yeah, very strong last few rounds for the Chiefs. Yes, they struggled at times up against the Landers, and to the Highlanders' credits, they did extremely well to be as close as they were in that contest, but Chiefs shown their class multiple times throughout that game. And Crusader, come on boys, 48-43. Ooh, it's going a high-scoring name. Now, the last time that there was a high-scoring game like that at GIO Stadium was actually the Western Force versus the Brumbies. And in that game, the Force were able to get the narrow victory. Very similar to that one. We have got the evening Hamish. You're doing your RC in the morning. We certainly are. We've already got that stream scheduled. So it will be the Stormers versus Glasgow Warriors. We are starting 20 minutes before kickoff because there's quite a bit to go through in terms of not just that game, but also the other matches that are coming up after that. But yeah, 6:15 a.m. New Zealand time is when we're going live for that contest. We have got there and we're back. We are indeed. Currently we have got the Welcome to Country taking place. And I don't know which is more beautiful, your mustache or grey blue hoodie. It's got to be the hoodie, I would think. But it's going to be a great game in Canberra. Do let me know, of course, your score predictions, ladies and gents, for this contest. Who you think will be winning? The Brumbies wearing the alternative strip here with the white up top. And the Crusaders in that classic red and black. They weren't able to get through to the playoff games last year. This year they've got the chance. They've got a chance of coming in as either the second or third ranked side, which does mean they've got a pretty high chance if they were to lose to have a lifeline. We'll try and explain that a little bit more next week when the playoff games are taking place. And we have got there, will James O'Connor have a chance making Australia team? I honestly think he will. Like, he's mentioned about it. He said, yep, I'm keen for the British and Irish Lions tour if I'm given that chance. He's played well for the Crusaders. Couple injuries in that 10 jersey as well for Australian players means that O'Connor, to me, seems like quite a safe option to be able to select, even if he's just a guy that they do use off the bench. We're seeing a handshake, exchanging gifts for the two sides before we do get underway. O'Connor is a future GOAT, says Ruth. And 34-21 to the Saders. I'm a Kiwi, but I think the Brumbies might take this. Sorry, Saders fans. Says Death. But that's the thing. The Brumbies are a very hard side to beat at home. Many New Zealand sides have found that out. The Hurricanes were able to win, but the Highlanders did lose when they tried to play them. And the Brumbies also managing to get the victory over... Okay, they did the smoking ceremony beforehand. I was a bit worried that that child was going to get his hand a little bit too close to that fire, but he's got out of it burn-free. James O'Connor should turn them down because it means he won't be eligible for New Zealand until 2030. I don't think he's that keen on playing for New Zealand, though. If he's most recently said, I'm keen to be a British and Irish Lions opposition, and I would quite like to be in that Australian squad, I would think that it would be a massive curveball if he then goes, now that you're trying to select me, I'm all good, thank you. I actually don't want to do what I've said I want to for the past few months. It was just a trick. April Fools. The refs and TMO are trash in Australia, especially that Blues-Reds game, says Royden. And Series try record will rise tonight, says Tom. They're just showing Andy Muirhead here so far throughout Super Rugby Pacific. 2025, he has managed to get himself 8 tries from the 13 matches Crusaders all the way, but I can't stand Penny. I knew someone who coached him. He said he was even a difficult player, says Beach. And James O'Connor is so old, is on the evolution chart, says Urif, I should say. What is the current try record? I believe it's 65 or 66 for Severies, but that one's going to be kicked off now. Noah Lalisio getting us underway, and that is a drop ball from Noah Hotham early on. And it's going to be a Brumbies scrum now, only about 15 metres out from the line. Blackadder coming over, giving him a pat on the back. Hopefully he hasn't broken all his fingers. The man has had his fair share of injuries. It would be great to see him get through this contest and a couple playoff games without one, and then he's probably in the regards of having half a shot. Sean Wainui, 5 tries in one game, never won that Crusaders guy that matched that record. Yeah, so Macca Springer managed to get it as well, so halving it with Sean, and then I think we saw Balin Sullivan 4 tries off the bench, which I think was some sort of record as well. Then why did he sign to the Crusaders, not stay with Aussie team? Because he knew the Lions was coming up in 2025. Says Kiwi, because Australian players are allowed to play overseas in certain regards. The likes of Skelton, he's been playing for the Wallabies at times when he was available. We've seen Marika Kurumbetti as well. Tell you what, the Brumbies aren't too far away from the line here, only about a couple metres out. Big tackle made from Blackadder. And it had to be made. Advantage, though, for the Brumbies. No advantage. 2 in a row against the Crusaders. James Slipper, pick and go. One more Fotuaika goes in. And the Brumbies, after 90 seconds, got themselves the try. That's not a flash start. No, it's not. It's far from ideal for the Crusaders. And great try, says Tom. And the Brumbies try, says Bavani, and also Brumbies push very strong front rowers. Brumbies on fire will win. And great start. See Mr. All in there as well. Why do we see more and more Kiwis go overseas? Is it a money thing or is it something else? Money, pretty much. Like the money that is overseas can't compete with Super Rugby. In France, Japan, you can be making massive, massive money. And, some of the players in Super Rugby are paid extremely well. Like, there's no denying that, but that money's different overseas, and you can only make it for so long. We've got to remember, a rugby career only lasts for much shorter than most career paths, which means that they have to make the most of it, make hay while the sun shines. But already in this contest, 7-0 for the Brumbies after only 2.5 minutes. And Brumbies scored on your Brumbos. You're rough. And RMG says Stu's World. And Crusaders defend like demons now, says Roof. And it all came from the early mistake off the kickoff. Dropping that ball early. Nicely taken there for the Brumbies inside of their 22 with Nick Frost in position. Crusaders by 7. I think it's the most paid current player. They actually announced it recently, didn't they? It was it Finn? No. I don't know if it was Finn Russell. Richie Mo'unga was top 3. I believe. But then I also saw that when Sia Khaleesi, they said that he made about £810,000. And he was in the comment section and said, I wish. So I don't know how accurate those numbers actually are. That's probably before tax, I would think. Which could take a relatively large sum away. Nice ball off the back of the line out. Finds Christian Leo Willie. Pick and go from Noah Hotham makes a few extra meters. Crusaders moving into the 22. Barrett goes off to Bauer. Now Christie plays half. He's actually scored a few tries this year, which is more than he has in the past. It's one criticism he's had across his game is he's always a workhorse on defence, but doesn't really get too many attacking chances. So perhaps something that he's working on. Perhaps got some feedback last year. We're not getting selected for the ABs. Now Sever Reese slinging it across to Dallas McLeod. Reihana trying to find his way through. Who scored for the Brumbies? It was Afiel Fotuaika who did manage to score it, the number 3. Now Tom Christie, pick and go again. Sever Reese, long way off his wing, but deciding he wants to play like a forward. It is how he scored his try last week. And Andre Pollard, the best paid rugby player, Hamish, says Gerhardt. So is he still going to be the best paid when he goes to the Bulls? Or are they paying him less, but he's going back because of the South African side of things? I am curious about that because I don't know what the transfer fee was. But I know when he was playing overseas, he was on massive money. But I don't know whether or not... I'd assume that the Bulls would pay him or match what he's getting overseas. But there would be a lot of players that they could bring in for that same price. Cody Taylor throwing this ball and it's bounced off the shoulder of Tom Christie. So pops back up to the Brumbies who will clear this one from 5 metres out of their try line. And that is a fantastic kick from Ryan Lonergan. They will decide to take that one quickly for the Crusaders. Johnny McNichol had a great run last week up against the Highlanders. That one goes into touch. Mistake from Noah Lalicio. It's either going to be a Crusaders line out for a 50-22 or it hit Noah Lalicio, in which case it would be a 50-22 anyway. Bit of an unusual question, Hamish. But would Will Jordan be gracing the field with his presence currently? He is not. He'll be on the sideline somewhere though. And he's only 1 or 2 weeks away. Don't believe Bulls be able to match his current salary. Yeah, like he's on, because it's the currency conversion as well, isn't it? I think what he's on currently is, I don't even know what the rand would be. It would be over 10 million rand, wouldn't it? And out, charging forward, Noah Hotham. Too far away from the try line now for the Crusaders. Blackadder plays half, goes off to Bauer again. Saders by 60. They're going to try and get that ton. Says you're rough. Pick and go. Big shot from Rob Valentini. Now around the side. Another advantage. Going the way of the Crusaders. Hotham, Levi and Moore. That ball's going to be dropped by Reihana, but they'll be able to go back for the original penalty. It's getting rough out there. Hamish, who's going to win? Well, that's the thing. The Brumbies have the early momentum, but the Crusaders have had a decent last maybe 2 or so minutes on attack. And we have got there, he might not be Hamish. Might not be what? The highest paid player? Might not be an Aussie for Will Jordan. It'll be interesting because they normally have a few guys travelling with the squad anyway just to keep them in the environment and keep them in the tactics meetings. That's a great run from Christian Leo Willie. And it will be the try now for the Crusaders. Cruz taking route 1. And yeah, that is the way you answer back to having an early try conceded against you. You just go and get yourself one great try, says Rodney. Yeah, just using physicality there. Christian Leo Willie with Scott Barrett on his side helps them drag over. What are countries compensating for with their big currency, says Jason? Not a lot, really. Is it Malaysia or Singapore that you can be a millionaire if you haven't got a lot of money elsewhere because of the exchange rate? I think Artie Savia should take the AB's captaincy from Scott, says Kiwi Rob. I think that's one of the first things that you've said recently, Kiwi Rob, that people would actually kind of agree with. Like, your take of Finley Christie in the All Blacks squad last stream definitely made a few people scratch their heads, but Savia for captain isn't the worst shout. Who got the try? It was Christian Leo Willie. Did cross the try line there. And go Crusaders. Brumbies, no favourites of mine. Leo Willie, good mover. Yeah, he's definitely in contention as well. In terms of AB's bolter, it's tricky, isn't it? Because it all depends on what they plan for Savia. whether or not they're going to look at him as the 7 like he's been playing all year, or they're going to switch him back to 8 like he plays for the All Blacks. Hotham going short side. Blackadder now. Tackled about 20 metres out from the line. No way. South Island coach, South Island captain. Says Stu's World. Yeah, I feel like co-captain's definitely on the cards. It's Kiwi Roll, possibly Stephen from Dunedin. And the conversion was in. It certainly was. Yes, so 7-all between these two sides at the moment. Shalfoon now. Is that ball available? Reihana. Kicking down the middle of the field. Nicely taken by Tom Wright, who will look to fire it back. And looks like he's actually going to run this one. Seems a lot in common. Says Jason, but the Crusaders will get the penalty. That was a mistake from Tom Wright. Chose the wrong time to try and attack. Now this one is once again within the kickable range. Oh, and they're actually going to call for the shot here, the Crusaders. I thought maybe they would have gone for the corner again. Try and keep that pressure building. Wright just not too sure which way to go. And in the end, Blackadder got right over the ball. And wins the turnover straight away. Hey, come on, someone score again, please. Says Ruth. And we have got there, hit the like button, please, and subscribe to Kiwi Lads. I'm going to miss to the left, sadly, says Pads Ablaze. Hamish, do you know of Stephen from Dunedin? No idea who Stephen from Dunedin is. Unless it's like if he's been in the YouTube chat, I probably know his YouTube name, I would think. But I don't know Stephen personally, no. Now, there's Reihana sitting 1 from 1 tonight. The probability of 62%. And he's got the distance. And he's got the accuracy. Kick has gone over 10 points to 7. The early try for the Brumbies fired back with one of their own for the Crusaders. And then now an extra 3 as well. Look him up for a laugh, says Jason. Is he rugby related, or is he just someone from Dunedin and always take the 3 at altitude, says Studs Ray. Now nicely taken by Antonio Shalfoon. And Wright is no Cullen with the stepping, says Inouye. Yeah, I think he just got caught in 2 minds, didn't he? He couldn't decide whether or not he wanted to run it or kick it. Do you know David? He lives in New Zealand. I know of David the Mod. He's been a subscriber of the channel for about 5 years. And Blackadder related to Todd, Great AB's captain of yesteryear, his son, Ethan Blackadder is. And yeah, if he can avoid injury for long enough, he can be a world-class player. It's just a shame that he's had so many different ones. Who's the ref? The ref for this game is James Dolman, I believe. Now Tom Wright going to try and run it back again. Looks for the offload on the outside and manages to do so. Corey Toole smashed into touch by Cody Taylor, but got his kick away first. Taken just outside of the Brumbies 22 with Noah Lucio. Taken by Hotham. What is the requirement if Artie ain't the best candidate? Says Shane Criddle. At this stage, probably to be from the side where Scott Robertson was coaching, I think is the best one. I think Tom Wright might have hurt himself trying to take that kick. Looked like he slipped a little bit. And it's a great kick again from the Crusaders. Another 50-22. But Tom Wright's done some real damage to the top of his foot by the looks of it. He went to kick that ball and just slid over. Oh. Yeah, I think he just kind of maybe got his boots stuck in the ground. He hasn't got up, says Rodney. If we're talking about Tom Wright, he is up and running around. Now Hotham pots the ball on the inside to Levi Amor, who almost went straight through, but Corey Toole tried to slow him down, but that is about all he did. Now Levi Amor back across to the left-hand side, low tackle made on Scott Barrett. Pick and go from Antonio Shalfoon. We have there, was featured on a student program years ago. It was self-confessed sports guru, fairly weird. Says Jason, that's very close to the try line for the Crusaders. And Hotham seems to think he's got more time than he does. That can happen sometimes for a halfback. And, that's very close. That is a try. Got the ball down. We've also got to remember, though, Hotham, he's been in and out of this side. Like Mitch Drummond there last week for his 150th cap. It's Blackadder who pops up with that try. We took 3 halfbacks in Northern Tour. One of those isn't playing anymore. So are you picking for our halfbacks, Hamish, says Kiwi Rob? I think the most likely that they'll go with is Roigard, Ratama and Hotham. Just because it's roughly what they went with last year. And if Scott Robertson had some sort of plan of trying to build those three up, it's probably who they'd go with. And welcome back, Ethan Blackadder. Where you been? Says Tom. He sadly had a lot of injury time on the sideline for Ethan Blackadder. A nice pick and go, nice and low. Gets underneath the body. And Todd a great leader, very humble, hard as nails. Says Gerhard. Now Reves Reihana. Ready to strike this one, and it's going to miss away to the right-hand side, which keeps the score at 15 points to 7. And his 50th Crusaders appearance, Blackadder does manage across the try line. I'm calling Adam Lennox as a bolter on end of year tour. You heard it here first. Says Studs Race. Where's Harry Potter and his magic? He plays for the Western Force, so sadly not playing in this round. And Todd Blackadder, legend. Says Reuven there as well. Brumbies must be hopeless. If can't win today, says, no, to be fair, they're still going to be in the top 3. Finley is good at 9 in the NPC. Says you're rough. And hi, Hamish, says Daniel, welcome in. No, Hotham now. Kicking us one up high. Charge down there by Nick Frost. Very good at getting in there. And putting halfbacks off. Johnny McNichol now slinging it out wide. Jay Fiaki. That one looks like he's kicked it straight out. Yes, he has. Are you picking for your AB's back, DKL? I'm just arguing with a friend about it while we watch your stream, says Dev. Well, in about 1 or 2 weeks, I will end up having the video. Maybe we even do a video at the end of this round and look at before playoff games who would be selecting in the ABs. What's happened there? Okay, they were going to give it a Crusaders line out, but then it wasn't touched, so means that it is going to be a Brumbies throw instead. Do halfbacks only take up the same room as 1.5 fullbacks? It's one of your better ones, Jason, I do have to say. Now Lonergan going back across to the right-hand side. Nola Alessio. Andy Muirhead. Just manages to stay inside the field of play. Pollard. Tackle well. 22 metres out from the line. Lonergan. They need to strike again soon here, the Brumbies, just because Crusaders have currently got that lead of more than one converted try. Lonergan. Cross to Noel Alessio. Beautiful hands from Rob Valentini. And Ikitel slides in and gets another one. I misread that as Annie Lennox. Says Gerhard, but that is brilliant work from the Brumbies. Managing to slide in Len Ikitel. Plenty of pace on offer there, but it was the tip on from Rob Valentini. It's going to be the 8th of the season. The tries aren't registering much on the site. I got the recent try, says Josh. So we did see the first try of the match being scored by Fial Futuwaka. Then we saw a try from Blackadder. We saw a try from... It was a big play from Rob Valentini there. Being able to shovel it on. Other try for the Crusaders was scored by Christian Leo Willie. And then, of course, Ikitel just now managing to score. And try, says Ruth. It was always going to be a good game. Yeah, exactly right. We've already had some really competitive moments. And fun fact, 17 minutes into this contest, we have had more points than we saw in the Highlanders versus Crusaders game last week. So it does seem like 40s could be on the cards. Thanks, Kiwi lads, for that. No worries at all. Should be good on her day too, says Studs Race. And all getting in the action, says Ruth. Yeah, both sides just firing from the get-go. Where are the Brumbies on the table, says Patrick? At the moment, they are sitting in 3rd. So whoever wins this game, the Chiefs at the moment are on 51 points as well. So they've secured number 1 spot. But whoever wins this game will finish 2nd, which means that they will play 5th place, which could still vary because the Reds have the Fijian draw. So you'd think that they would win. So it comes down to whether or not the Hurricanes will win their game up against Moana. So all the games tomorrow have pretty big implications. One's going to be put into touch. Now, line out for the Crusaders. Noel Alessio not happy about where the touch judge says it went out. We've got their super only level. Proctor smoked Ikitel the other week. We over there think Itchy Towel might need a wash for drying the dishes next time. We have there as, it's P2 versus P3 in the standing at the moment. And the last round, what a coincidence. Yeah, I think they said in that last game that whoever did the draw did it very nicely. That's going to be knocked on by Christian Leo Willie, who was just about through the gap. And it looks like they will now go back for the scrum. And winners of this avoids Chiefs until the final, says Hanoi. It is true. But we should also mention whoever wins this, theoretically, and I know that this is a little bit confusing, and I'm still confused by it, but whoever wins this game, if the Chiefs were to lose their playoff game next week up against whoever they play, we don't know yet, but if the Chiefs were to lose that, whoever wins this game then earns the opportunity to have a home final. Sounds very confusing, but because whoever is highest ranked, it's going to sound weird, but whoever's highest ranked who loses goes down a rung in terms of ranking heading into semi-finals. So the easiest way to describe it, of course, is if it's the number one side. But let's say, for instance, the third ranked team end up losing and getting a lifeline. They would then drop to the fourth ranked, I think, or fifth rank. Bit confusing, like I said. But we'll get there in the end. Hopefully all the favourites just win so that it's nice and easy to work out. Now Cody Taylor, ready to throw this line out. Once again, about 30 metres out from the line. Already a quarter of the way through this contest. Looking cloudy and rainy, rain coming soon in Cape Town, Hamish. So luckily the game taking place in Glasgow, although I think they've had their fair share of rain in the last little while too. Don't get confused, Hamish. Without you, we are nothing, says Jason. As in quarters, 1 versus 3, 2 versus 4, 5 versus 6. It is. Quarters is 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4. And then whoever loses, whoever's the highest ranking that loses, gets a lifeline and goes through to the semis. Now, going to be nicely taken by Shafiaki, about 22 metres out. Yeah, there's been a bit of kicking back and forth between these two teams. Once again, the ball there for Andy Muirhead. Will run it forward and decides to try and keep this kick a little bit lower. Who scored on the Crusaders? It was Ethan Blackadder and Christian Leo Willie. Here comes Sever Reese, though, with the ball in hand. He goes for a kick of his own. Down to about 40 metres out from the Brumbies line. Kick back from Tom Wright. Got a bit too much on it, but it looks like it's going to just pull up in time. So a well-weighted kick for Tom Wright in the end with the bounce. Johnny McNichol. So you're going to put this ball into Dutch? No, looks like he's going down the middle of the field. Muirhead tries to claim it. We'll be back inside of his 22, running it back. Guess what? He's kicked it. No, he's passed it, and then it's been kicked by Nolasco. Taken by Reihana. Both fullbacks and fly halves just playing a little bit of force back here. Waiting to see who makes the mistake. Right, Tom Wright's sick of that by the looks of it. And now he's going to get it into touch. Very good clearing kick from Tom Wright there. A kickathon, says Hanoi. And we have got there, so if the fourth ranked team loses, they stay where they are, play the highest ranked quarterfinal winner. Correct. That's our easiest way of looking at it, which hopefully that will be how it happens. But you just never know. Can Stormers take Glasgow later tonight? They lost last quarterfinal up against them in the URC, but I do think that the Stormers, without Falimza, it's going to be challenging, but with Sasha in the form that he is, that could be their X factor that they need. We have got there, so if Blues win with a bonus point and Moana win without a bonus point, Blues go through. That is correct, yes. Have you seen the injury list for this week, Kiwi lad? A big, huge list for all of these sides. Tom Christie now. Is this ball available? Noah Hotham round the halfway line. Get to go for another up and under. Chasing after this is going to be Chafiaki. Doesn't make the ground. It's going to be accidental offside there for Fiao Fortuake. Had no choice. We have got there TKL. Do you stream with a delay? If not, this would be perfect to watch if I went to the Hurricanes vs Moana live. I get some commentary through my headphones. Through Sky Sport Now plus YouTube, we've got about a minute delay, unfortunately, so it does make it a bit challenging for the live side of things, but it might still be slightly useful in terms of giving you slight updates about what's happening in terms of injuries and whatnot, although you'll probably get quite a few of those from the MC over the stadium mic. And Brumbies ready to bounce. And good job, Brumbies. You're giving us Crusaders a great round 16 to play. Here's Josh. And don't they sometimes give a scrum for that offense? Sometimes. It depends on how deliberate it is. So if the guy hasn't played at it and it's hit him, normally it's an accidental offside scrum. But if the guy tries to catch it like Fiao Fotuaika did, it means that it's offside rather than accidental offside, if that makes sense. Oh, what's up with the stadium? Dude, wrong stadium, says Kiwi Rob. I actually did it just to annoy you, Kiwi Rob. I also started 30 seconds late to see if you were going to complain about it again. Reihana kicking this one towards the sideline, and we'll be about 5 metres out from the line for the Crusaders. There's interference in the air at line-out time from Nick Frost. I watched the debate between Kerwin and Victor Matfield. The use of 6-1-7-1. I'd like to hear another New Zealander's opinion on it. I'm like, at the end of the day, maybe it wasn't the way that it was supposed to be used, but there's no rule that says you can't. So if it's within tactics and it's within the rules, I don't have a problem with it. I know that World Rugby eventually might look at switching it up, but yeah, at the end of the day, if it's within like the laws, there's a lot of stuff that players do that aren't within the laws that they don't get pinged for. So I feel like there's much more to worry about than how many forwards are off a bench. Clading Hamish, they get a 50-point penalty. And if the Blues lose with a bonus point and Moana with no bonus point. Wait, so if Blues lose with a bonus point and Moana Pacifica with no bonus point. So Moana lose without a bonus point, I assume you're saying, Anne. So in that case, the Blues would go through because they'd have one more point than Moana. And that's a yellow, says Mr. Orland. No one has a yellow at this stage, I don't believe, do they? Must have been close, though, only a few metres out from the line. Now being thrown in. Could imagine Razor doing a 6-2 split. Not really a thing New Zealand, but seems to be the recipe for success. Yeah, well, we lost the last game that the Kiwis tried a 6-2 split in. I think that was the game that South Africa tried the 7-1, wasn't it? For one of their first times, and they won comfortably from memory. Now, told to use a Noah Hotham, go short side, flicks it off to Reihana, and the Crusaders get in for another try. Good to hear, just wanted to know because Kerwin speaks highly against it, as if he speaks for the whole New Zealand opinion. I figure most New Zealanders wouldn't be too against it. I think for ex-players anyway, like, because they're so, I guess you could say, passionate about their teams because they've been there, done that for sides, like, I feel like they've got a little bit more, I don't know if it's, like, biased or sympathy for the teams, you know, because, like, he's probably looked at it and gone, few guys have been injured late in games, and that sucks for the players, being a player himself, but, like, it's one of those ones that there are two sides to every argument. Who scored it was Reihana, who managed to get the try. So I guess the big question, Levi, is who have you backed to score a try? Have you backed anyone? Because if that's the case, maybe they haven't scored yet. All Blacks Pinnacle should be against the 6-2-7-1 split, says Annoy. And Reihana has got that kick over, so that will now make the score 22 points to 14. 4, 5, and 6 a win next week. Does C1 become the lucky loser? Yep. Yeah, so it would be... although I don't know whether or not, in that case, whether one seed who's revived then goes into second on the semi. I think they go into second on the semi-final rankings. So in that case, they would play the 5th place team and 4 would play 6. I think. It's very, like I said, a bit of a math equation. That's close to a turnover for the Brumbies. Getting over the ball, and they have managed to get the turnover. 22 metres out from the line. Lonergan goes back across now to the right-hand side. Chance here with a grubber. And Reihana just shepherds it into touch. You have to watch that one extremely closely. And we have got there any news on when Richie Mo'unga is coming back to New Zealand, or is that not known? His contract with his Japanese side, I believe, runs out in 2026 or 7. But he has spent a little while saying, I want to come back. But he signed a big money deal. So, like, I think he's trying to there was a patch where he was trying to get out of his contract so that he could come back and play for the All Blacks because Razor was the coach. But now he's, I think, just locked in. So it'll be a little while till we see Mo'unga back in an AB's kit. Richie Moa's on $2 million New Zealand dollars a year. Doubt he'd want to leave that, says Johnny. Now quickly shoveled on for the Brumbies. They're around the halfway line with Noel Alessio. A little bit of a counter-ruck coming from the Crusaders. And they haven't quite got the steal that they were after. GIO Stadium, Canberra, coming Crusaders. Yep, in Canberra, even though the background is completely different. So have to get a GIO Stadium for next week, seeing as they will have the home playoff taking place. Question is, will they be playing the Reds, the Hurricanes, or will they be playing Moana Blues or Waratahs? The answer to that is only the Reds or the Canes, I believe. I don't think anyone can catch those two sides. Going back across to the right-hand side, Valentini trying to sneak through was Licio. Bit of a big bit of physicality there from Tamaiti Williams. Looking a little bit fired up at the moment, the big man. Richie making dollars. Crusaders Australia get that 120 points. And $2 million a year. Richie is never coming back. Says death. Now, Ryan Lonergan goes back across to the right-hand side. Trying to get in there was Blackadder. He's already had one steal today. Doesn't manage to get the next one. Filiwai. About 40 metres out from the line. 10 phases in a row here for the Brumbies. Noel Alessio. In fact, that time it is Lena Katau. And Kaching. Says Johnny Blaze. Now Alessio goes through. He's got men with him, but decides to try and pierce the gap. Johnny McNichol took a shot to the face there. Now, wide cut out pass taken by Reese. It would have been forward anyway, and he slammed onto his back and into touch. Now going to be a Brumbies line-out throw. Reese almost standing on the touch judge there. Just waiting to hear if there was the advantage. I don't think there was. We have got there, what if all home teams lose this week? I wonder what next week would look like. So if it was based off current rankings, right, so the Chiefs are still number one. Of course, they have 5 more points. So let's say all the favourites lose in the playoffs. It would then be Hurricanes top seed taking on the Chiefs. And then it would be, Hurricanes top seed taking on the Reds, Chiefs versus Moana Pacifica. That is how the rankings would work. Wait, no. Hurricanes would take on Moana Pacifica. Reds would take on the Chiefs. There we go. That's the way round that it is. I hope that that doesn't happen because the maths is too hard to math at this point. Caviar is gross. Says rough. And face smasher or two fairy rattler, Hamish. Says roof. Just face smasher or two fairy rattler. I have no idea what either of those are. Face smasher sounds a bit violent, doesn't it? But then two fairy rattler, is that like you're rattling some teeth that you found? Math be mathing. Says Depp, but currently 5 metres out from the line. Are you sure about the lifeline? So pretty much what they said is whoever qualifies at the top in terms of the rankings. I've got it here on my phone. I could just read it out. But even when you read it out, it sounds weird. Maybe it's just because I'm reading it. There it is. One moment. We've got a scrum here, ladies and gents. So we've got a little bit of a stoppage. So, here we go. Competition format. Here we go. The 3 winners from week 1 advance, along with the highest seeded loser, the lucky loser as they call it. The draw is 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3, with the lucky loser dropping 1 seeding spot for the semi-final draw. So pretty much if they were qualified first, they then qualify second. Whereas the likes of, if let's say the lucky loser is the team in third, they would drop to 4th and give away their home field semi to the team that beat them in that regard if they were the only loser. Make sense? It doesn't need to be this difficult, but it is. It's the way that they've got it set up. So pretty much whoever's playing is playing, and we will just commentate it as is. Sounds so confusing. Yeah. So what happens if the Blues win against the Chiefs? Says Kiwi Rob. So if the Blues are 6th, then the Chiefs... Are you saying you need to tell me who else is winning too? All the top teams other than that winning, I assume? Because if that's the case, then it would be the Blues coming in as the lowest ranked semi-finalists. The Chiefs would drop to 2nd, and whoever wins this game would be first qualifier and get the home final. That's why this game has quite a bit of importance. Yes, it may seem like, both sides are through and both could still have home semi-finals, but the home final is on the line if the lucky loser, interesting name, but that's what they've called it, the lucky loser does get knocked out. And now, nicely taken by Reihana. If there was a Club World Cup this year, who do you think would make the semi-finals? Of current form, I would say Bordeaux. I do think I'd say Leinster, even though it's controversial because they have found themselves losing a few big games. But I do think that they'll go all right and get that far. I think that, current form, the Chiefs aren't looking too bad. So Bordeaux, Chiefs, Leinster. It's controversial, but I probably wouldn't go Northampton, even though, of course, they did make it through to the Champions Cup final. I'd probably say Toulouse or maybe the Bulls. I think the Bulls would be a decent shout if they were at home. Away from home, they've been a bit more jagged, but at home they would have a decent crack. Now, ball in possession of the Brumbies. What if we place the bottom on top and top on bottom, then mix them around and drink? Oh, big shot from Noah Hotham. Swiftly changing the subject. Now Corey Toole has to play halfback. Tom Hooper wrestled down in the middle of the field by Tom Christie. The lucky loser is just a wild card, pretty much. But then I'm also of the mindset that the lucky loser, like if you're ranked 4th going into those semis, into those playoffs, like it just seems like something that should only be a reward for a team that's ranked 1st or 2nd for the overall standings. Like the fact that the team who's ranked 4th can have a lifeline and get through again, I feel like, yeah, it's a bit weird. Hamish, you look bright and fresh and energetic. Great. Thanks for the great stuff. Plenty of rugby today and tomorrow. South African time, says Brian. Yeah, we have got that quarterfinal with the URC between the Stormers and Glasgow taking place in only around 8 hours' time. We are going to be covering it live on the channel. We have got there, Ski said, now I waffle too much. Says Ski, or as in now I, as in him, waffle too much. It's very convoluted, says Red. Yeah. It's one that could take 10 minutes to explain all of the outcomes. But now going back across to Johnny McNichol, trying to charge forward. Rob Bellatini hits him with a big shot. And a little bit of a counter right from Tom Wright that was playing on the ground bomb, Johnny McNichol. Looks like Dolman having a bit of a laugh with them. Let's go, someone score. And back hit from Rob V. He's been putting in some huge hits throughout the early stages of this match. Now, Noel Alessio, another chance to be able to put this one down the field just a little bit further. Balancing the chat in the game of the streamer, A+ streamer, says Death. Yeah, we've had a couple quiet patches in this game, I'll be honest. There's been times where both sides, we had like 2 or 3 minutes straight of kicking, which definitely didn't add a huge amount to the contest. It seems like both sides have settled down from there, though, and now they're starting to try and get some attack going. Nicely thrown in. Billy Pollard back across to Ryan Lonergan. Bellatini running straight at Tom Christie. 2 men who I think will be up there for tackles at the end of this game. 3 minutes left in the first half and still 8 points separating them. Reihana manages to get through the first attempt. But then what if second place loses? Then you have 2 teams in third spot. So the third team would get promoted up to the second place, if that makes any sort of sense. But yeah, it's honestly one that you could go on about for an hour, and every outcome has a different outcome. So we'll tell you who's through at the end of next round, I think is the most easiest way of going about it. So Blues can't play at home at all during the finals. No chance of an Eden Park home final for the Blues. Oh, Severis trying to drop goal here. And he's got it, Severis. Well, there we go. The crowd booing it. I don't think anyone saw a Severis drop goal coming in this contest, but he's a leading try scorer in the comp. And now he's just decided to slot over the 3 from about 25 metres out. Rob Penny doesn't look happy. It's as if he didn't know that that was going to be happening. But, yeah, I mean, it's effective. Seems like it worked relatively well. Straight down the middle. Never looked like missing it in that case. Severis just showing off his class with the ball on his foot rather than just in his grasp. Now, ready to go for a box kick again here for Noah Hotham. And we have there, Severis is cool as you like. Has just got a sneaky little field goal, says DJ Shack, and the crowd is empty, says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, there's a few spots that haven't been filled. There's a few people in the middle, though. It's not the worst attendance we've seen for Super Rugby this year. Oh, Lolisio. Cody Taylor trying to get over that ball, told to get out of it. Ignored the ref. Now we have got there. Any thoughts on picking Severis or Tavatava Nawai in a Quagga Smith type role for a 6-2 split? Honestly, haven't really thought about using him in that way. Tavatava Nawai could be a bit of an interesting one. Or you could get one of those guys from the sevens to do it. Jay Fiaki now. Big bump off of Corey Toole, but he does drop the ball in the process. Which means now 25 seconds remaining. It was a shoulder charge, wasn't it? Says Kiwi Rob. It looked like a big shot. We'll have to see the replay here to see whether or not there was an up. You know, not a huge amount of rappage coming there from Corey Toole. And first drop goal of the week. And we have got the Reese seems to have free reign, says Becker. I mean, he just goes wherever he wants, really. Like, we see him score tries right next to the breakdown. We see him out on the wing. He seems to just do what he wants. Is it just me or Sky Stadium always seems so empty, or is it just got a massive capacity for people? Well, I think, yeah, the capacity of it probably doesn't help. Because if I go here, capacity, it's 34,500, right? Which doesn't sound like that many, but that's like a very decent attendance if you get that full. Then you look at someone like Apollo Project Stadium in Christchurch is 17,000. So if that's sold out and Sky Stadium has that same amount of seats sold, it looks like it's not even halfway full. And we have their Brumbies week lost €300. And Kyle Reese says you're rough, but now going back across to Len Akatau. Run from James Slipper in a bit of open space, but we are at the halftime siren sounding. And Ryan Lonergan says we're done. Going to be halftime. Have you seen enough for the Aussie teams to give the All Blacks some worries? I think so. I think that depending on where the games are as well, does like change things a bit. But yeah, I think that, you know, the likes of Rob Valentini, he's looked pretty impressive throughout this contest. There are multiple Australians in the backline that could really challenge the ABs, which is fantastic to see because at the end of the day, no one wants a one-sided Bledisloe, I should say. And we have got there, good thanks, hope you're well, wind blowing in Durban today like Cape Town. I'm not even sure what that is, Johnny, but I can guess by the emoji. But halftime in this contest, 25 points to 14. So, probably not quite as close as some anticipated. The thing is, though, it's only split by 11, and if the Brumbies can get themselves an early try, that can change a lot in the outcome of this contest. But they have to be the next side to score points. If they aren't, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to be able to get back into it. But whoever wins this game will qualify as second in the playoffs. So just off the current way that it sits, now I doubt that it will stay this way at the end of the round, but currently it would be whoever wins this game plays the Reds. But that has a decent chance of changing depending on what happens in some of the other matches that we have got coming up. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. See whether or not we see the promotion of either the Reds or the Hurricanes. Theoretically, I believe Moana Pacific against, well, no. I was going to say theoretically, but they would have to win their game by massive margins, and Fiji and Draw would also have to beat the Reds by a massive margin too. And hey, says Ellie, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Sevu Reece just showed what a versatile rugby player he is. Says Gerhard, yeah, I don't think many people had Sevu Reece drop goal on their bingo card for this matchup. We have got their salami to sausages. What's going on, boys? Is that a saying? What's with the emojis? You got someone flexing and then someone with a really sad face. Salami to sausages. Is that like an innuendo for some cold weather or something? Couldn't tell you. The Gate team was supposed to be the host for New Zealand cricket and replace base and reserve. That's what Nats wanted to put motorway through it. And we have got there as well the crying emojis from Johnny and Brumbies to get a right telling off at halftime, says Ruth. But looking through at the halftime, 11 points difference. These players off the bench, they could be the ones that make the difference for the Crusaders. Of course, they have got the X Factor and James O'Connor, the experienced head for the Crusaders side. Not so much experience for Crusaders caps, but more so Super Rugby in general. Braden Ennor there at number 23 with Kyle Preston in the number 21 jersey. And also George Bell, after recently returning from injury, finds himself in the number 16 jersey for the Brumbies. They have got Lonergan, they have got Lily as well, or Ailey I should say, and Funneck. Shaw, Rama as the other forward replacements, then Goddard, Meredith, and Sapsford. So, I think that this game, with the amount of kicking that we've seen, probably hasn't been played at the tempo that will trouble either of these sides. I think they'll find it all right to adjust. And we have got there, Moana just have to win bonus. We'll seal it. Says Beds Ablaze. And Tatako's mate says Beach. And also Hamish, this quick goes downwards pretty quickly. And I think Sky Stadium sold out one time, but I'm pretty sure it was for the Wellington Phoenix. And where's the hooker Moananu? Yeah, I'm not actually too sure where he is. I don't think he got injured last week. He did play last week, though, and once again did look like a really promising talent. Definitely a bolter option for the ABs. And just showing the earlier result. The 17-point win for the Chiefs, 41 points to 24. They did receive the bonus point, which meant that no matter what happened in this game, neither of these sides could advance above them. Now, they really weren't going to advance above them anyway because they would have had to win one of these two teams by at least 125 points. Reihana, they are just shown, has scored a try. Let's slide over very nicely. Brumbies manning up on D, but when Crusaders get going, can't get a dominant tackle in. And Sky Stadium has got sold out back in Rugby World Cup 2011. The All Blacks are playing at Eden Park and Optus Stadium against Australia. Says Kiwi Rob. Out to show Noel Alicio. He also had an injury that kept him out for a little bit of time. 42 carry meters throughout this game. When the Box vs Barbars team sheets are released, do a video, please. We will be doing the videos for all of the lineups, and we might even do a prediction for it as well once the squads are announced. And with the Highlanders being struggling with a good consistent number 10, may I question why the guy who has now finished and filled the spot quite brilliantly previously, think you get my thinking? May I question why the guy who has now finished and filled the spot quite brilliantly is now finished and filled the spot? Think you get... No, I don't, Jason. I feel like you're missing one little bit in there in terms of closing out a sentence or something that has confused me. So with the Highlanders struggling with a good consistent 10, may I question why the guy who has now finished and filled the spot brilliantly previously isn't filling it anymore? Is that the end of it? I realise your birthday was on Monday. Take out, thanks for the public holiday, King's birthday. Says Death in there as well. I wonder if anyone actually believes that my birthday was on Monday. It was not, though, ladies and gents. We're a wee way away. Gotta wait till December for that one. Missed opportunity, I'm thinking, says Jason. And Blues beat the Tars. They beat the Chiefs. Will they then host the final? Says Ski. So, Blues beat the Tars. So, they will go through. Then they beat the Chiefs. They would still be bottom semi-finalist in the overall rankings. Aaron Smith, Jason, says Mr. All-In. And also, we have got something about pork sausages, says Ruth as well. How did we get onto the sausage chat in the chat? Where did that come from? Out of curiosity, and Blues will never get top on anything. See, as bad. So yeah, if the Blues want to win this season, they have to do it as underdogs and away from home. Which, if they can do it with the way that their season started, would make it that much more impressive. Let's go Crusaders, says Ben. And Sam Gilbert was quite brilliant in that position. Okay, I get you. So you're saying, why did they take Sam Gilbert out of that number 10 jersey when he was going well? I get you now. Oh, are they fighting again? Or not again, but Sonny Bill Williams versus Paul Gallen. I didn't realise they were still going, but they're going to... When did that get announced? I don't even know that was happening, but 16th of July. Mark it in the calendars, ladies and gents. Sonny Bill Williams is still a bit in shape, isn't he? Just see him there. He still looks like he could actually play, well, try and play a bit of rugby. And Irish put Guinness in their sausages, do they? That's a bit fancy, isn't it? What if they dip the sausage in the Guinness? I was going to say and slurp it off, but that sounds a bit weird and it sounds like we're going in a different direction. You know how people have their biscuits and they dip it in stuff? I'm going to move on. Currently half-time in this contest, ladies and gentlemen. We have still got 3 games coming up this weekend. The next one will be Waratahs versus Blues. That is taking place at Eden Park, and that will be the Saturday afternoon game. We are going to be covering that one on the channel. Alongside that, there's going to be the matchup taking place between the Hurricanes and Moana Pacifica. And Sonny Bill, I felt like he was a bit of a show pony in rugby, says Death. And we have got there Funny Bill, says Bad Blaze. I didn't even realise he was still boxing, though. I thought he had just moved on to the stand commentary side of things. Currently, carries are pretty even. 68 for the Brumbies, 68 for the Crusaders compared to the 65 of the Brumbies. An extra 50 metres of carrying from the Crusaders, and most of those have actually come from post-contact. Wouldn't you end up with a soggy biscuit then? You do, dipping it in tea. The question is, would you end up with a soggy sausage? Sounds like an innuendo. Once again, I'm sorry, but I'm a vegetarian. They have vegetarian sausages that you can dip in your beer, I'm sure. Gallen didn't show up at the weigh-in, says Patrick. And Sonny Bill was hoping Gallen would reach 60 before he would accept the fight, says John. And South African Sausage Squad Prime Beef last 20, says Shane. Dip pretzels in Nutella? That sounds more reasonable, I would say. Penalties conceded 7 against the Brumbies, I think I just saw there. And I think that only said that there was 1 against the Crusaders. Because he was scared of a drug test, says Beach. And they're Waikato Chiefs and Melbourne Storm 2025 champions, both 2024 losing grand finalists, says Roy. And when you consider the team problem we had this season, I personally would have given it a try. Paul Gallen is a sausage, says you are. Or you're rough, I should say. Second half, I would say, is not a mile away. We'll have a quick look here. What are we sitting at? Currently, probably another 3 minutes, somewhere around there. And then we will be into the action for the second half. In terms of who stepped up throughout the first half, I think that for the Crusaders, we saw quite a bit of Ethan Blackadder as well as Christian Leo Willie. Those two in the loose forward trio working hard for their side. Sevu Reece with that unexpected drop goal near the end of the half was certainly unique. And then other than that, seeing a little bit of work from that front row. 50 days to go till the Lions match between the Wallabies and the British and Irish Lions. That is happening on the Saturday, 19th of July. And by the way, draw for Rugby World Cup 2027 is due for December this year. It certainly is. It'll be very interesting to see who does get where. And the thing is, it still seems quite early, doesn't it? But I guess sides want to have a year and a bit to be able to decide what their plan is. Why Jake Paul, or doesn't Jake Paul do WWE now? Why do I know that, but nothing about AI? No, it's Logan Paul who's in the WWE. I think Jake made one appearance though a while ago. What is more appreciated, a long sausage or a short and fat one? Sauce optional, obviously, says Jason. Depends on what your occasion is, I think. And Sonny will win. Parker subs the 3rd minute of every round, says Shane. How do you think Crusaders' first half performance? I think they went all right. They definitely, like, that's the thing. This Crusaders side at times this season have been so strong that, they scored 25 points and it sounds like we're saying they didn't do that great. Like, most sides would be happy to score 25 at the end of a match, let alone first half of rugby. Like, they scored 3 times. They got a drop goal in there as well. They're in the box seat, 11 points over the Brumbies, but I think it's just that dangerous nature of the Brumbies coming back into a game that makes people a little bit more nervous. To be honest, Landers weren't even bad this year. 7 losing bonus points wasn't a team's problem. The team just lacked the finishing off games. And hey, bro, how's it, says Mongo? Welcome in. You are doing extremely well. And yeah, I'm excited for the second half. We're not a mile away from getting back underway. Is a hot dog a sandwich? See, here in New Zealand, a hot dog most of the time is on a stick. And I don't normally have a sandwich on a stick. So our hot dogs are not a sandwich. But if you put that hot dog in a bun, then that's a weird thing to do. But you could argue what it is. I've never tried that. Might have to get a bun, get your hot dog, squeeze it, and then just pull the stick out. You know how they do that with like the beef rib or whatever it is in America, how you pull off the bone and then it's just in the sandwich? We have there Paul Gallen dropped his sausage. And we have got there, do you think the Nations Championship will hurt the All Blacks? It'll be intriguing to see what actually happens because, it's a new thing. World Rugby are trying a lot of new things as of late. Just look at the 7th Circuit, look at the Club World Cup. Everything's all happening in quite quick succession. And it's either all going to work or it's all going to fail. But hopefully it all works because or else then rugby will be in a bit of trouble. I think South Africa Saucy seems to be more of a veteran woman meal. Most new to saucies prefer a normal saucy. Says Diff. And we have the Hamishless talk. It's really going sideways. Hot dogs have to have Vienna sausages, says Ruth. I like how you said it's going sideways and then continued the sausage chat. Why are we talking about sausages putting inside buns? Kind of sus, says Red 7. I don't know where the sausage chat came from, but as soon as it got fired up, it just kept on going. Sonny gets Wayne Smith as trainer. He would defeat Usyk, says Shane. Usyk's quite a funny bloke, isn't it? You see all the clips of him, and he doesn't try to be funny, but he just says funny stuff. Now, second half just about to take place, playing height at the sausage, says Novmum, not that we know of. This is a very long halftime break, and I feel like they're doing it on purpose. They've gone, hang on, we've got to hear the end of this sausage chat first before we can get back into the game. Ruth Carter started the saucy chat. I wouldn't want to have to fight with Gallen, says Patrick. Oh, okay, game just about back underway. Just showing there Tualima. Now, going to be kicked off. Nicely taken by the Brumbies inside of their half. And that does conclude any sort of sausage chat, I would think. Now Ryan Lonergan. Ready to kick this one up high, and they will have to try and find the sideline. And Johnny McNichol decides against a quick throw. It's probably lucky that the guy earlier on who said that we don't do good commentary anymore because we get distracted too much, probably lucky he wasn't there for the halftime break. He might have actually gotten very angry. Okay, game on. Saucy chat over, says Death. Now line out throw for Cody Taylor. Crusaders, of course, they have got themselves that 11-point lead, but if they do manage to score themselves one try here, all going to the front to Antonio Chalfoun off to Cody Taylor. You should inject some rando trivia into halftime. We've kind of tried something like it before, but the problem is the delay. So, I'll ask a question, and then about a minute later is when we get the answers. So then people get a bit confused about which questions are being asked, but it could be something maybe in the future. Now, George Bauer. Around the side, Tom Hooper manages to make the tackle on. His knee went the wrong way. Hopefully he's going to be all right. He's a bit slow getting back up to his feet. Does have a bit of a, I can't even think of the word. Bit of a stagger, I guess you could say. And a misstep for that man, but currently 27 metres out from the line. Noah Hotham back across to the right. George Bauer in behind finds Reihana, who has already found the try line in this match. Usyk English is broken. It is. I still like. I'm very feel is one of his great ones. Now Christian Leo Willie starting to drive forward, gets rid of Ryan Lonergan. That man gets sat down a lot, unfortunately, but he always gets up. I'm here for a giggle. That's why, if that's not you, Gex Guy, see you, Shane. There we go, get there. Come on, boys, time to score. Now 25 metres out again. Crusaders trying to spin out of that one was Noah Hotham, but he gets wrestled towards the touchline from Andy Muir. That was very close to a steal in the breakdown from Tom Hooper. Just type all this so no one would notice. I got my halftime score wrong by 10 points, says you're rough. And that's a penalty now to the Brumbies getting in the breakdown. I think that was Hooper again, was it? Yes, it was. So he's been working hard to try and get that turnover. And eventually now has 37 minutes remaining. Still plenty of time for the Brumbies. It's only 11 points. I want Brumbies to win. What is the reasoning behind said want for Brumbies to win, Novmum? Out of curiosity, because I know that more than likely it's something to do with the Crusaders, isn't it? So is it that if the Chiefs were to lose, you'd rather play, bleeding out the side of his head there, Tom Hooper, you'd rather play at GIO than you would at Orange Theory for the final? Maybe? I don't know. What's the reasoning? I bet the hot dogs are at the rugby are lukewarm and crusty now because I don't like the Crusaders. Okay, I get you. See, I'm just wondering, if the Reds keep their spot or get into fourth, then they play the Brumbies. Those two sides play off again, or they play in the playoff games. Then whoever loses that game, you get to face as the Chiefs, a walking wounded, take them down, easy road to the final. Another penalty, or in fact no knock on this time, will be the Crusaders who have got themselves the ball in hand. There's been a few early mistakes. This first half, this time it was Christian Leo Willie to put that ball down. But the hot dogs at the rugby are lukewarm and crusty now. Yeah, Isaac had a hot dog at the game that we went to, and it was below average. The quality, not the size. Now Noah Hotham ready to feed that one in to the scrum. Sounds like Braden Ennell's getting ready to come on already. And to be fair, Corey Kello's also out there on the park. That's not for Blackadder, is it? He hasn't found some sort of other way of injuring himself, has he? So he's had that many throughout the season, unfortunately. Now Dallas McLeod, he's another guy who's been pretty quiet, but nice run from Braden Ennell. Puts the ball on the outside to Johnny McNichol. Flicks it one more to Fiaki. And the Crusaders back now to 22 metres out from the Brumbies line. Hotham back across there. Barrett pops it up to Corey Kello. So yeah, it does seem like at the moment they've gone Levi Moore off for Braden Ennell, and then Blackadder's off for, it was Corey Kello. That's a concern though if Blackadder's picked up another injury, unless they're just easing him back into it perhaps. Could be the case. Same with Levi and Moore, but Sever Reese ball on the inside goes off to Tom Christie. Tries to run through, finds the offload to Johnny McNichol, but he's knocked it on, and they'll go back for the original penalty to the Crusaders again. The crowd aren't happy about it. Did Sever score a field goal? He did. Believe it or not, he went for the drop goal in the first half and got it. Was probably the more surprising part of it. Now, Crusaders have got a bit of a decision here whether or not they want the 3 or the 7, and it looks like they're going for the 3. That might be not the worst option here, just to give them a bit more of a lead, about 28 points to 14. I don't know if it's enough yet. The Brumbies are one of those sides that just fire back quickly. Crusaders will win this game. They should from here. They will have a 14-point lead. But just never know. We have got the autocorrect. I mean dongs. I mean sausage. Says Red 7. Now Reihana, one of his easier kicks of the day. Does get it over. That is now going to make the score 28 points to 14. Now, how do the Brumbies fire back? Once again, they need to be the first side to score a try. I did say at halftime they needed to be the first side to score, but the 3 points is already passed, so now they have to refocus, find another way back into it. It's just a tricky one to be able to get right. All right, we will go like that. We'll go like that as well. Now rolling this one back, Noah Hotham. And geez, Hotham is having a mare. Says studs raise here. He's had a few rough moments. And yeah, that one was just the wrong time to go for the pick and go. The Brumbies have been all over him. Like they've said, just a bit of pressure starting to mount up here from the way that the Brumbies are playing. Tuilima. Again, getting in there. Yeah, Nick Frost. And who was... Oh, it was Tuilima. Him, Valentini, Hooper and Frost have all had phenomenal games so far. So I feel like that's just the... that's the type of performance that you need from a forward pack to be able to get you the victory. Fun Nick has made his way on for the try scorer earlier on for Tuaika. I find the number one issue with a vegetarian sausage is the blatant lack of meat, says Jason. And now, well claimed, this time by Tom Hooper. Rob Valentini, almost taking a man off the ball there for Whenua. Now Tuilima. I think the only player who needs to touch the ball now is Nick Frost, and then those four are the ones that I mentioned who are all having great games. Here we go, pick and go from Nick Frost. Thought about going for it. Now passes it off to Tuilima again. Blackadder put a cast on him and throw him in super only. In my opinion, says Shane. Now penalty advantage going the way of the Brumbies. Not a lot of time remaining on the clock here. Pick and go. That was close to the try line. Now looks like Fun Nick's going to have a crack. That is even closer than before. And there's a grounding, says Dolman. And the Brumbies have got themselves back into the match. Okay, I think Scott Barrett was asking about whether or not maybe that ball was dropped. And there was already an advantage for offside as well. So it was going to go from bad to worse for the Crusaders. That try coming for the Brumbies right at the perfect time. Just gets that ball out the back and then the pick and go. That's my third account, says Yuraf. If you ask Usyk, do you want a sausage? He will say, yes, I feel, says Laurie. Okay, so Scott Barrett was trying to say double movement. That's what his complaint there was. Like they've said, you're allowed one movement. Scott Barrett made the most of his. That kick has gone over from Nola Lisio. And after 50 minutes now, the Brumbies are back within the 7. This one could be going down to the wire. Perhaps even Golden Point could be on the side or on the cards. Do we know Blackadder injured or just people having a laugh? Well, he's gone off at halftime. It's either that they've taken him off to try and ease him back into it, or he's actually picked up an injury. I hope that it's just that they're easing him into it, though, and not an injury for him to have to deal with, because he's already dealt with enough of those. So, Chaifiaki trying to slap it back, giving it in the field of play for the Crusaders, but it has bounced into the hand of the Brumbies. Now, Rory Scott is off, and Luke Reihana has made his way on. We have they're going back to Salami's delicious, says Ruth. Now, nicely taken by Johnny McNichol under the high ball. Offloads to Christian Leo Willie, who has also been a man of the match candidate for this game. Sever Reese, middle of the park, trying to step through. He's wearing the number 24 by the looks of it. Obviously needed a new jersey for him. Now back across to the left-hand side. There's Reihana. There was almost a bit of space opening up there for the Crusaders. Sever Reese having to play halfbacks as Hotham was being held down by Tuilima. Corey Callow close to the sideline, and it might have been a knock on there by the Crusaders. So the Brumbies decided to take this one quickly. Nola Lisio just inside of his 22, looking for the kick in behind. So it's up for Chaifiaki. He will go for the low kick of his own. Crusaders fly half as an idiot. says Rowan Scott. He's had a mixed bag of a game. Like, he scored earlier on, but he has also had a few moments where you look at it and go, might not have been the best choice. That's the benefit, though, of having James O'Connor off the bench. You've got that experienced, cool, calm, collected type of customer. And that juggle of the ball from Callow just ended up with the Crusaders getting themselves under a bit of pressure, but now line out 40 metres out from their own line, almost stolen there by Tui Lemo, sat on the head of Antonio Chalfoun. It's going to be a free kick. Chalfoun will be saying, I got sat on. How is that not a penalty? Brumbies defence targeting Hotham, says Studs Ray. And do you think Blackadder and Papa Lee deserve another AB's call-up or block other chances? I think you can only have one of them in the team, which does sound maybe harsh, but just with the size of the squad too, I don't know whether or not they can fit both of them in. And if Blackadder's coming back from injury time and time again, you just wonder whether or not they would go with Papali'i instead. Now, going to be kicked high from Ryan Lonergan. A lot of players asking for offside penalties there. Reihana, he's knocked the ball on again. Man, has had a pretty shaky start to the second half. Noel Alicio slipping over, not able to grab that one. Tom Wright throws the interception pass, and luckily for him, they were under the penalty advantage, or else it would have been an interception try. Who would you put on the bench, Hamish? Papali'i or Blackadder Jr.? See, I don't know, if I'm honest. I feel like I'd have to think about it a bit more, but I do actually think that, I don't know, maybe a Peter Larkai or someone like that might actually be more suited to the role. If they're not going to be starting Satiti for some reason, I think him off the bench would be a real impact player, although I'd like to think that he'd be somewhere across the starting side, but it all depends on whether they're playing Savia, whether he's playing as a 7 or whether he's playing as a number 8. Right, scrum's being reset here. Okay, someone might have called something, but I didn't. Sounds like we're having one of those situations like we had in the URC not too long ago. Duplessis Karefi. He was the other one I was thinking of. I know that people always say he's not big enough, but for a guy, like, he's still a tank, isn't he? Like, he's a really, like, not well built, but just he's a very solid individual who will just not move from a breakdown. So, like, I hope Karefi is somewhere in that All Blacks environment, because I think he'd be pretty handy. Duplessis playing in our women's team as a looker, says Yuraf. How are you there? Peter Larkai, says Johnny Blaze. How old is Blackadder? I'm not actually too sure. Maybe like 28. I don't think he's as old as he seems. It's just the amount of time that he's been out injured always makes people think he's older than he is. He's 30, sorry, my apologies. Same birthday as Isaac. Not the same age, though. Now Ryan Lonergan going to the short side again, off to Rob Valentini, driven back by Enor. Now again, Lonergan, cross to Slipper. If the Brumbies want to get back into this game, they need it very soon. Raymer, replacement number 20. This game is pretty close. It is indeed. Like, these two sides still, I think both of them can play and well and truly reach that net scare for the last 20 minutes. Lonergan again, crowd starting to get a little bit restless. Oh, great hands from Philly Hawaii. Gets it away to Tom Wright now, pass it on the outside. Corey Toole, one more needed to pass earlier, but Tom Wright, in fact, it's Muirhead, still gets the try. And the Brumbies may have just brought it back to a level playing field with 24 to go. Game on, says Novmum. Massive, massive play there from the Brumbies. So we got a game, says Mr. Holland. We do indeed. And this game is pretty close. It is English black pudding. Oh, you're still talking about sausage, Jason. Now we have got there Papali'i, says Ruth. And Crusaders 10 is playing like a silly sausage in there too, I do see. A great run from Tom Wright. Slight question. I know that we've said Larkai and Duplessis Karefi in terms of those Hurricanes guys. Is anyone at all considering Braden Yossi in their All Black side, or would we say not as good of a season as he had last year? Because last year he was absolutely outstanding and still missed out. That kick. He's gone over from Noel Alicio, so making the score now 28 points to 28. And the other bonus you've got of Yossi is he's pretty versatile, can play all three positions as well, although I think that you could argue that a couple of those other guys like Alakai can. Brumbies, great try, Cruz midfield, botched that, McLeod. Yeah, I hardly said that man's name all throughout the match. But it seems like Braden Ennor, since making his way onto the field, hasn't looked too bad. And wow, now it's going to boil over, says Ski. Yeah, I think this one's going to kick off very soon. And honestly, like both of these sides, I'd be surprised if they don't both get a try, maybe even two. No loose forwards for me from the Canes, really. So you wouldn't go with Karefi, Lakai, or Yossi at all in your All Blacks squad. Interesting. So who are your loose forwards instead, Mr. Allin, if you're ditching all the guys from the Canes? We have got there, can't have short boys, and Black won't win enough ball. But then, like, the thing is, right, the All Blacks with their line out, there was a stat, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was to do with the England versus New Zealand series. And it was talked about how they needed the tall timber, yet when they had Summer Penny Finau in there, they only threw the ball to him, I think it was once, in the line out. And they went to Savia like 6 or 7 times, who was much shorter than Summer Penny Finau. So, of course, you need those tall guys in the locks, but in terms of the jumping options, the All Blacks don't seem to use a couple of those guys in the loose forward trio very often. So that's where you need your Jacklers. And yes, Savia can do the job of a couple individuals. Finau also, says Ski. And no point having someone who doesn't move from the breakdown. Someone needs to go ring the AA to get mechanical assistance, says Jason. And Kia ora brother, says Tian, welcome in, mate. Some Fenny's too soft, not enough mongrel in him. Needs to harden up and not be such a nice guy. He's trying, like he smashes people every once in a while. Like we saw the massive hit that he put on. Oh, that's a big shot from Rob Valentini. The ball's popped out on the side of the Brumbies. Fairly wide. Goes across the slipper now. Now, nicely done. South Africa is not England, says Shane. That is true. But I find it funny when we see the comparison in terms of people are like, and it's not just Duplessis Karefi, it's with Adi Savia, it's with pretty much anyone who's not 2 meters 5 tall. And they all go, but how would he match up to Peter Steph Toy? And it's like, well, no one matches up to Peter Steph Toy because he's the best loose forward, debatably. Of course, some people would say Savia, but like Peter Steph Toy is an absolute freak of an individual. He's huge, he's strong, he's powerful, he moves like he's a back, but he's got the power and all the attributes of a forward. Yet everyone goes, but how would he match up with Peter Steph Toy? I don't think you've got anyone in world rugby at the moment who matches up with Peter Steph Toy because he's Peter Steph Toy. So I feel like that argument, that one in particular, always makes me kind of chuckle when people are like, oh, but we've got to try and find someone who's 2 meters 5 tall, who's an absolute freak athlete. Like, it just doesn't happen. And hey, Holland to play 6? Maybe, but who are your locks? You going Barrett and Vai, I guess, maybe? Barrett 4, Vai 5? Or vice versa, maybe? Now kicked high. Oh. Okay. Looks like they're saying go back. And goat and sheep's guts and a pork belly. And Peter Steph is the man. Love that fella. Says Johnny Blaze. Right, looks like it is going to be a mark here, or at least the free kick for the Brumbies. Noel Alicio trying to fake him out to get him to advance too early. We don't compete line out time. We mauled off the park. That's true. But once again, like, who are the guys that you're putting in there then? Because just because you're tall doesn't mean you're going to be handy in a line out up against the world champs. Oh, nice work. Out to Che Fiaki. But now 35 metres out from the line. Looks like Kyle Preston. He has made his way onto the field for Noah Hofamu. Was far from his best in this game, which is terrible timing because I was going to do a video either this week or next saying who my 3 All Blacks halves would be, and Noah Hotham was one of them, so he's got to play some good finals footy. Now, Sever Reese in the wide channel thought about the offload, just didn't quite get it away, though. 4 Holland, 5 Vai, and 6 Barrett off the bench. Here's Johnny Blaze. Now 6 phases in a row. We won with Crusaders and Chiefs, I think. And Holland great on lineouts. Oh, that's a bad knock on from Braden. You know, and not only that, he's got a sore leg and he smacked his face on the ground. Has skills through a 30-metre left-handed overspin pass into the chest of his winger earlier tonight. So he has studs raise. So yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on, Fabian Holland. And you just wonder whether or not will they put the idea of transitioning him into the loose forwards, or are they happy saying, look, you're a lock. Xavier, the best 7 worldwide, says John. But then people still say, oh, but he doesn't have the size of some of the other players. Like, I feel like more like Xavier than anyone else at the moment in the world, you kind of see, like, yes, size is important. And a lot of, this sounds like I'm talking about something else, but in rugby, you know, the size of the loose forwards can be important, but it's also the size of the gas tank, the size of the heart, and what the guy is willing to do to try and help a side win. Because you could have a big bloke, but if big bloke can't move, big bloke can't play. You know? But of course, once again, freak athlete in terms of Peter Steph Toy, not many guys move like he does in terms of the size and speed. Ollie Satsford. Hamish, are you by any chance sponsored by Peter Steph Toy? I wish I was, because he probably makes a bit of money. So if he wants to chuck us $10 to sing his praises, we will do it. We haven't had a sponsor in like 3 years on the channel. There's no bigger heart than Xavier, says John. Exactly right. And he's shown that for Moana all throughout this year. Johnny McNichol kicking downfield again. We're still playing force back between these two sides. That one's going to go... Oh, just goes dead. That is massive, as that will be retreating back about 70 metres for the Crusaders here. When was the last game won by a drop kick? This sounds really bad, and I know that this wasn't the most recent, but the most recent I think that we've covered that was won by a drop kick might have actually been South Africa Ireland. I'm trying to think of another one. The first drop kick that always comes to mind, of course, is that Mitch Hunt one up against the Crusaders for the Highlanders, about 50 metres out. But I can't think of many other games recently. We saw a last-minute penalty between Toulouse and Toulon for them to be able to win it. And a couple drop kicks actually attempted by two sides in the Hurricanes Western Force Golden Point time. James O'Connor, he will now make his way onto the field. And Dallas McLeod also, bit of blood coming out of the kneecap. That's not good. I don't even know if they had replacements for that. Unless that's actually, no, James O'Connor comes on for McLeod, which means Reihana is still out there. As now or never, the Crusaders need to deal the fatal blow. Oh, another blow of the whistle. Referee, again, not happy with how this one is set. Bad knock-on. Is there a good knock-on I don't know about? The good knock-ons are the ones that the refs don't call, and you slip them a $10 later. 16 minutes. So on the clock, the Brumbies in the box seat here, about 30 metres out, straight out in front of the posts. But James O'Connor to get him a win, to remember Aussie, says Tom. Yeah, I mean, he's already got that. Who was the last minute kick over the post? Is that against the Blues for O'Connor, or was that the game prior or beforehand? He had one where he got that last minute kick, didn't he? Any team in the world would struggle in lineouts with Peter Steph, Eben and the Viking against them. Exactly right. So, like, yes, you want to be competitive, but I don't think height's the full answer to that. And I feel like you have to look at that and go, right, lineouts might be a bit of a struggle. Where can we try and capitalise across the park? In terms of, is it the breakdown? Is it something else in terms of trying to cut off that offload of Argia Sneyman, which is where you need some really quick guys in there rather than the big tall timber. But yeah, I think you still need a couple tall guys, of course, up against the box. But I don't know if it's the be-all, end-all, because I think they're going to be winning those lineouts anyway, no matter who you throw up. And good knock-ons are usually discussed before the game. Says Katzenel, and I think Sever will score a winning try. He could do. To be fair, he's done it before. He's scored 60-something of them, including one last week up against the Highlanders. Kyle Preston managing to clear that ball. He's a guy that started really quickly for this season and then kind of disappeared. That was probably because of the return of Hotham, but that ball's going to be thrown in. Now nicely taken by Tom Hooper. Luke Raymer, cross to Lonergan. Now off to Satsford, who has made his way off the bench. Trying to get the turnover there was Tom Christie, but he's lost his footing. Knock on there from Ryan Lonergan. I've said it was off his foot, but then I thought he did knock it on afterwards. Last game won by a drop kick. It would have been the annual Stoners versus Methods, says Jason. The Brumbies are in control, says Stu's World. Exactly right. If they aren't careful, Crusaders, they'll end up with a penalty advantage against them soon, and the Brumbies would be able to take the 3 to take the lead, but I don't think they're looking at threes here. They're looking at the full 7. Nice run from Mickey Towell. Tackled by JOC. Got stuck in the breakdown as well, almost rolled the wrong way. Speaking of rolling, Tom Christie was upside down. Now, 12 metres out from the line, James O'Connor in off his feet. Ball was stuck in there, so it became unplayable. And it will now be a scrum for the Brumbies again. Reese is doing what Rico can't. Says Katzenel. And but I feel throwing to the line out can be hard under pressure. Cody Taylor and Tolkiaho. They had shockers in the AB's jersey. And that's the thing, like, yes, the locks, once again, we sounded like we're going off on the locks a bit. But yes, the locks are important, but when you look at some of the accuracy of the line-out throwers, in terms of even the throws that they've had not straight, like that's also quite a big concern, because it doesn't matter how tall the bloke is, if you can't get the ball into him with a straight throw, you're in a bit of trouble right from the get-go too. I don't think the Crusaders are gelling as a team this year. They had a good patch. Then they had a couple injuries. Will Jordan's the difference maker. If he's available for playoff games, they will probably win 1 or 2. But if he's not, I think that's where the concern comes in for the Crusaders. They just don't seem to be that same balanced backline when he's not there. Listening from Fiji, says Nishal, so thank you very much for tuning in. It is greatly appreciated you being here. And Bulla from Fiji in there too. I must admit I'm a tad nervy about this now, says Studs Rays. On 100-metre try would be great to see. And it could happen. We saw that risky pass thrown earlier on by the Brumbies. Yes, they were under penalty advantage, but the ball was gathered by Che Fiaki and could have run the rest of the field. Always the forwards as well, Hamish. Yeah, you gotta get in there. Gotta try and somehow get that ball back. But now, feeding the ball in, can the big forward pack of the Brumbies have an impact here? Oh, getting crunched backwards by the Crusaders. Luckily, though, the ball came out on their side. Now, Satsford short ball to Lenekitau. Great tackle made by Braden Eno, who had to try and hold those arms. Now, looking for the counter-ruck. I don't know how legal that was from Sever Reese. I think he was trying to drag a Brumbies player back from his own side of the ruck. Andy Muirhead, Wallabies call up. So underrated. Yeah, he's been a strong player for the Brumbies for quite some time, Muirhead, and there's always that new shiny winger that they go with, whether that's someone like a Corey Toole or whether that's someone like a Tim Ryan, who they always seem to go with ahead of Muirhead, but I think he'd go all right if he was given the chance. Or, you've also got the guys like Korobeti, Dangunu in the past who have taken those wing spots. But now, it's going to be Che Fiaki going back across to Braden Eno. Now, Reihana gets back to, Eno's hurt his knee here, or his hamstring, or something in that leg by trying to kick it downfield. Have you played rugby? In the past, I did, but then gave it up. Lifting from PNG, huge rugby fan, although league is dominant, says Leo Francis. Yeah, I do appreciate you tuning in. We have actually covered a couple Papua New Guinea games before in sevens as well as in rugby league. Fun fact. Do come home for dinner when you come to Fiji, bro, says Vishal. Yeah, I still haven't made the trip to Fiji, but I will have to at some point in the future. Ribs. So he hurt his ribs kicking the ball. That's a unique one, isn't it? And yes, Saders, says Yuraf. And my son has a home game tomorrow, brother. It'll be his 3rd game this year. He's won a player of the day twice and has kicked 9 out of 9 off the tee. All while playing open side. His season's going well. Sounds like it is if he's the kicking forward. Could be the next Artie Savia you build it. Now, Meredith running straight at the Crusaders defence, which do force them back a couple of metres. We are currently sitting 69 minutes through and it is still 28-28. Kiwi lads quit playing rugby after not getting the ball in under 10s or something like that, if I remember correctly. Something like that, yeah. Pretty much coaches' boys were 9 and 10. Coach pretty much said, don't pass the ball. And we kept losing games because they wouldn't pass the ball, and then they'd lose the ball, and then you just spend all day tackling. I touched the ball twice in a season. One of those 2 times I scored, but just no touching of the possession. That's going to be a good run forward from Tom Wright again. Another advantage. I'm back across to the right-hand side. Now, that advantage is quite substantial. That looked forward from Lonergan. Yes, it was. Brumbies celebrating the try, but they will have to go back for the original penalty, which they should be able to get. Just talking about that offload of Tom Hooper, who's attacking at the moment. The Brumbies did have that ball, but now they have gone back. Cruz missing Blackadder's impact this half. I think a little bit, yeah, he was doing quite a bit of work in that breakdown. Right, we're going to see the replay here. Yeah, it's just Corey Callow not rolling away. I get a try, Brumbies, says Novmum. I think they're going, I was going to say, I think that they might opt for 3, but they've gone 7. This is a big call, but they want to go for the win rather than just leading by the 3. Big call. Why not take penalty kick? Well, the thing is, right, it's either a genius move if they score or it's a terrible play if they don't. We're about to find out which one. But yeah, I would have taken the 3, or at least I would have thought you would in this scenario. But they're going aggressive. And tell you what, the Crusaders are firing back at them as well. Breaking off the back for Lonergan. Still 5 metres out from the try line here for the Brumbies. Ryan Lonergan being told to use it again. We'll go back to the right. Big man Shaw stolen in the breakdown. He wasn't on his feet though, and another penalty. This is getting close to a yellow card, although Crusaders have given away a lot of penalties throughout the season and haven't had a huge amount of yellows. If anyone needs advice from the past league player who was yours to lose 70 plus points to 0, I'm your guru, says Jason. And we have got their coach's son, Hamish Bro. That's like my son's team. He's the 10, glory position right. He's a little, unfortunately for him, my brother, or my son is a better kicker, so he's been made the kicker shame. So here's Johnny. And good call says Mr. All In, go for the corner. This time they are kicking for the posts. And that's the thing, 8 minutes remaining. That's not a huge amount of time. This time it was Corey Keller. I think that's 2 times in a row that he's actually been penalised, if I'm not wrong. To be very careful here not to end up with a yellow. But Main, in the top 6, punch it in, says Mr. All-In. And Tim Horan has said Nathan Cleary is interested in Union the last 2 months. He would be the Wallabies saviour at 10. I mean, it would be very interesting to see how he adapts because, you know, a lot of those guys who convert from league, from the history, or not really the history side of things, but just in recent times, you know, you look at someone like a Sonny Bill Williams, a Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, Suali'i, they all play kind of those more outside roles of in the centre, or the centres as well, or the fullback. It would be interesting to see, because Cleary would be, it'd be your 10, wouldn't he? So, yeah, it would be very intriguing to see what kind of impact a guy from league would have running those lines. Speaking of a great run from a 10, here's Reihana. Pops it up to Kyle Preston. But the Brumbies at the moment, with 7 minutes to go, have got themselves a 3-point lead. JOC with possession, tackled by Satsford. Now, all ball was out. Well done from Kyle Preston. Kicks that ball away, back onto the side of the Crusaders after a bit of a counter ruck coming here from the Brumbies. That looked like James O'Connor may have played that ball on the ground. Sever Reece tackled by Muirhead. Now Bell. That looked like an awkward one for Sever Reece. Looks like he might have tweaked his left knee. Have we ever seen a league player play 10 in union before? Not that I can think of, if I'm being honest. I know that we've seen rugby union 10s go over and play league and play a similar role. That was way back in like the 80s and the 90s, I think it was. Maybe 90s, but... Now, another attack and run. George Bowen now struggling. He's been out there for 74 minutes. Christian Leo Willie finds the offload to James O'Connor. Oh, he's absolutely crunched in the tackle made by the Brumbies. Now still available for the Crusaders. This game is going down to the wire, which is exactly what we expected. Sever Reece pick and go. He's chosen the wrong time to do that. And the Brumbies all but got the ball, but now the Crusaders have got themselves the advantage. How much time left? 5 minutes remaining on the clock now. 20 off his feet. It seems to be a day for 20s giving away penalties. Fiaki, what is that? That is a terrible kick in behind. It's gone straight at a touch, and they'll go back for the penalty. And Owen Farrell was shocking with tackling, but was a solid kick for England when he comes from league. Says Laurie. Oh, this is a big moment. Because the Crusaders, if they take 3 and draw this game, well, of course, they still have to go to golden points. So I think they have to go for the corner here. That was pretty dirty in the breakdown. They're saying that Sever Reece knocked the ball on, which he did, but I think we also saw one of the Brumbies players trying to get in there and cause a bit of a problem. The crowd are trying to make some noise to see if they will overturn their decision on field. We both have that ball going backwards, says James Dolman. Now, 4 minutes remaining. Brumbies blew it, says Stews. And Bodika Ridge Ellis, Matt Rogers, says you're rough there. Now thrown in. Nicely taken by KL. They're saying, get up, Leo. Being Christian Leo Willie, and he was lying on the ground because there was a Brumbies player on him. George Bell is over. And he scored the last minute try. Still 3 minutes after this kick, though, so we are far from done. But the Crusaders, with the boo from the crowd, commentator there has said James Dolman, he's missed a knock on from Sever Reece. But of course that happened after the penalty advantage, did it not? So I feel like that is irrelevant in that scenario, as they still would have had the penalty advantage anyway, and George Bell has got over. Reece knock on, surely. I mean, I agree, I thought it was a knock on, but was that after the ref said advantage or before? I thought it was after. Oh, George Bell almost losing that ball too, think Crusaders. Or thanks, Crusaders, says Nichelle. And get the Crusaders down the other end, and Brumbies are on a rampage. Crusaders need one more. And someone needs to score a meat pie. Now there's a Reihana. Tough kick from the sideline. He's missed it. We having flashbacks to that game up against Munster, but now with 3 minutes left to play, 2 points difference. It is anyone's for the taking, and the Brumbies, they will at least be in the right side of the field. Was that a knock-on? I thought it was, but I could be wrong, but I thought they already had the advantage at that point, which is why they went back for the original penalty. But the Brumbies have managed to get the turnover now, ladies and gentlemen. With 2.5 minutes remaining on the clock, they will have a very good chance. Do they go drop kick? Do they go penalty? First of all, though, of course, the Crusaders, their discipline will have to be lacking. The big man at number 18. Trying to get in there for Seb Calder. I kind of want to see that man run the ball in open space. He's actually extremely quick. Now over the ball for the Crusaders. That was close to the turnover for Bell. 5 phases in a row. This is for a home semi-final. Or at least it should be. But of course, Super Rugby can get turned on its head because of the weirdness that is the playoff finals. Still there for the Brumbies, searching for the ball. It's going to be Goddard. Goes back across to the right. 90 seconds remaining. The Crusaders cannot get offside or else they will lose this game. Tom Wright trying to find his way through. He is tackled by Reese. And Braden Enor, who may be playing with a couple broken ribs because he keeps on grabbing at his chest. Now off to the left-hand side. Space on the outside. Big wide looping pass to Corey too. He's hardly had the ball today and he's got through one tackle, but he's knocked it on. Scott Barrett making the all-important tackle that may have just cost the Brumbies the game. Okay, James Dolman has said 30 seconds. We need to get a move on here. And Tool, ahead of Tool, says Hanoi. Very close there for Corey Tool, but it's the tackle from Scott Barrett. Honestly, the first time I've seen him in the last about 20 minutes. But if there was ever a time to get involved, it was when the Brumbies were just about to score the match winner. So now, the Crusaders, if they win this scrum, there'll be about 15 seconds remaining on the clock, maybe even less. They'll need a couple phases, then they can put that ball into touch and secure the playoff second place position. That would mean that the Brumbies have a chance of going head-to-head with the Reds. That's gone down. Referee says we can't have that, and it's going to be a scrum reset. It looked like the Crusaders went down on that far side with Seb. Right, time is off. 6 seconds remaining. So this is not going to make a difference in terms of by the time this ball is out of the scrum or a penalty is won by either one of these sides. Well, this is interesting. That's a really weird choice. I'll be honest. Lewis Ponini, ladies and gentlemen, making his way on for the Crusaders. Front row replacement. One scrum. Pressure like you wouldn't believe. He's going up against Fun Neck. What? Could Bowen not hold on for one more scrum? I know he was struggling, don't get me wrong, but you're getting that ball and you're getting that ball out. You're sticking a new guy in there. This could be really, really risky for the Crusaders, but we'll have to wait and see whether he can scrummage. We're about to find out with the final siren sounding. Can Ponini get it right? Big push early from the Brumbies. Ball is in there for the Crusaders. They'll get it into the pocket and they'll kick it out. They win this game 33 points to 31. It's a tough game, but they've got the job done there, the Crusaders. I see Macca Springer running the drinks today. He wasn't out there, but perhaps could be with the amount of injuries that we've seen for the Crusaders. Braden Enor looking very ginger at the moment. Teammates were trying to give him a hug. He was going, no, I'm good with handshakes at the moment, thank you. I can't feel my rib cage. My Liquor Land Kirtley Beale Dream Team. Bowl was having great call. Easy to say that now. Says Studs Race. One of the TMO coming for the knock on. Says Kiwi Rob. See, we might have to go back and have a look at that one. See, my first initial reaction for it was that it happened after the advantage. But I could be wrong. Was it before or after? Oh no, no advantage, 20 off his feet. So I heard the second advantage as well. We're going to see it here. So it's play on. I'm watching it. Sevu Reese has that ball. And there's the advantage there. So the crowd aren't happy. How early was that Sevu Reese knock on? It must have been a few phases beforehand. I mean, if I don't get 250 points for that guy and never captain, that's a robbery, said Mr. Orlin. And go Kiwi, pleasure to be wrong, says Shane. Very happy Crusaders, second on the table. This comp is so close, says Studs Rays. So yeah, currently the way that it sits, all of the sides have stayed in the same spot as they were at the start of the round. So pretty much Crusaders, Chiefs, Brumbies. Chiefs, Crusaders, Brumbies, that's the order that we have got. Now the question is everyone going to keep their spot tomorrow? The answer probably is no. I think we are going to see quite a bit of movement. First game taking place, Blues versus Waratahs. Someone out of these two sides will move into the top 8. Top 6, sorry. And then from there, pressure back on Moana to try and perform up against the Canes. But we are going to be back tomorrow for those ones. And then, of course, alongside that, we have also got the games that are taking place, including the Stormers versus Glasgow. That is happening at 6:15 a.m. New Zealand time. And we are going to be up for that one. So that's in around 7 hours' time. So I'll try and maybe get a bit of sleep before that match does take place. But I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will see you all for the next one.